Full Blast Podcast, let's take a ride into the mind of Smoothie. Video games and comic books, and we'll talk about horror movies. Let's go retro, checking the scene. Talk about things in magazines. We'll talk about the things that we've seen on screen and the 90s on the 19.
Holy moly, I can't believe it. We've made it to a landmark episode. We are here. We finally arrived at episode number 10 of the Mind Smoothie podcast. What is going on is your boy Smoothie. But of course, and as always, I invite you to come for the entertainment and stay for the journey deep into the mind of Smoothie. If you are new here, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe to, rate, and review the show wherever you get your podcast from. Man, I still can't believe it. We are on episode 10. This is great. It's a great feeling, and I'm so excited to be here. With all that aside, it's time to get into this week's episode. So, of course, sit back, relax, pop some popcorn, pour a bowl of your favorite cereal, and let's get started. All right, we are back, and this week we're going to continue the discussion. We're going to continue to look at some of my favorite first-run syndication television programs of the 1980s. If you need to be brought up to speed, and in case you missed episode number 9, I encourage you to go back and listen to that. But last time we looked at the 1988 sequel to the 1960s black and white hit sitcom The Munsters. We looked at The Munsters today. We went over a little bit about the cast, a little bit about the writing, and just the show in general. I was able to find some show clips from a few different episodes. We talked about those. Again, I have to emphasize that it's very elusive for whatever reason, and hopefully sometime in the upcoming future, Peacock, Universal will make The Munsters Today available for streaming, because I truly believe it's something that people should see. It was a very good show overall. With that said, today we're going to be looking at another sequel show. This time we're going to be looking at the sequel to the 1976 ABC original sitcom, What's Happening. Today we are going to be taking a look at 1985's What's Happening Now. That was the opening credits theme song to What's Happening Now. Very much familiar to the original What's Happening theme song. And that's a good reason for that, because Eric Monte was the creator of both What's Happening and What's Happening Now. He also wrote the movie Cooley High, which was inspired by his high school days. And What's Happening was actually based off this film. Great film. I suggest you watch it. It's currently on Amazon Prime. Monty also wrote and co-created The Jeffersons and Good Times. I don't know if I mentioned that already or not. Unfortunately, he fell in some hard times back in 2003. Drugs, alcohol, very messy. Declared bankruptcy in 2006 and was living at homeless shelters at the time. Currently not living in homeless shelters, but he hasn't been able to really bounce back and get anything released. He did write a few other episodes. He attempted to get back on his feet, but just never could pull out and capture the success that he had with these TV shows from the 70s and early 80s. What's Happening Now? It aired on September 7th, 1985 and ran through to March 26, 1988. What's Happening Now is a sorts of Where Are They Now of 3 high school childhood friends, Raj, Dwayne, and Rerun, and what they're doing and how they're navigating adult life. It's a great show. I always did enjoy What's Happening growing up. Of course, I wasn't alive during its original run. I got it in syndication, and I remember we would gather around at dinner time. It used to be on at dinner time, and while we were eating our dinner, instead of having conversation as a family, we would watch What's Happening and shows like Good Times as well. Whatever was on in syndication at that time, but What's Happening, I always enjoyed it. It always just seemed to be such a cool show, cool concept. The episode I was able to watch was the pilot episode, because much like Monsters Today, this is very elusive as well. You can still find What's Happening on Tubi, I believe, the original one. What's Happening now, it's a no-go. But the premise of the pilot was Raj and his wife Nadine come back to town. His mom, who was not in the show, she got remarried and sold the house to Raj and Nadine. I guess Shirley and Dwayne were keeping an eye on, because they all live on the same street or in the same area, keeping an eye on the house while Miss Thomas was away. They come and think that somebody has broken into the house, and here it's just Raj and Nadine. He asked about Rerun, and Rerun's now a car salesman, and he has a commercial on TV, so they show him, and everybody's real excited for Rerun. Rerun comes over, not too happy with Raj, just because he thought that he was making it big and making a name for himself, and always in the original episodes was kind of under or in the shadow of Raj. They piece things out later on in the episode at the good old stomping grounds, the old hangout of Rob's Place. Rob's Place was the name of the diner that they would go to after school in the original. Think of the Max and Saved by the Bell. This was their hangout. Unfortunately, that had fallen on hard times. The owner had to sell it, or actually just kind of fell into ruins. And Shirley, who was a waitress at the time there, she wants to purchase it, make it what it once was. She asks the help of Raj and Nadine. And it was here where Rerun and Raj, reflecting on their relationship, they make amends and the times they spent there, and they agree to go in with Shirley, renovate Rob's, and open back up for business. And that's pretty much how the story or the show would continue for the next 3 years that it ran. And they just provide that same hangout to future generations. And we'll get into that shortly when we look a little bit at the cast. So overall, it's solid writing. And I think they did a good job, because it was the same writer from the original. It did a good job translating into the 80s. The cast here, we're going to start backwards here. And we're going to look at Maurice Warfield was a character in season 3. He was played by Martin Lawrence. This was Martin Lawrence's first start. I don't think I need to go into all that Martin Lawrence has been in, but in case you haven't been aware, he's been in movies such as Bad Boys. He had his own TV show, Martin. Been in a lot of stuff. He was in 22 episodes, 1987-88, which was season 3. And his buddy on the show, Daryl, was played by Ken Segos. I hope I'm saying that right. The name didn't sound familiar until I saw a picture and looked at IMDb and pieced them together and figured out who he was. Again, he played in 22 episodes, 1987 through 88, season 3. Ken Segos played the role of Kincaid in the movies A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4. Dee Thomas, who is Raj's sister in the show, is played by Danielle Spencer. She returned. This is probably what she's most known for. What's happening now. I always remember her catchphrases. It was always funny. Her go-to was always, "Ooh, I'm going to tell mama." So she was kind of bratty and everything. And as I was going through trying to find some episodes and look at some clips, apparently her and Dwayne had a little spark, a little fling going on there. I don't remember that. Again, I really wish I could go back and watch this show. In 1996, she became a veterinarian. She really hasn't done much acting aside of that. Diagnosed with spinal stenosis in 2004, and that was resulting from a car accident in 1977. But she's such a good, strong example. She just perseveres and pushes through. She was also diagnosed with breast cancer in 2014, but a good role model, a good sticking to her work as a veterinarian and not letting these little setbacks hold her back. Nadine Hudson Thomas, Raj's wife, was played by Anne Marie Johnson. She's probably had the most successful, or at least the most, a lot of credits on IMDb, but she was in a lot of different stuff. And she's still currently working. Her most known role was playing Althea Tibbs in 118 episodes of In the Heat of the Night that starred Carol O'Connor and Howard E. Rollins. Some of her other things that were noted there: Grey's Anatomy, Days of Our Lives, JAG, CSI, NCIS, Girlfriends, to name a few. Shirley Wilson was played by Shirley Hemphill. Again, this is probably most known for What's Happening Now. She did have a stand-up career. She also had a lead role in the 1980 ABC sitcom 1 in a Million. It was unsuccessful. It was canceled after one season. She had a role in 1993's CB4. She played the 976 sexy operator. Unfortunately, Shirley Hemphill passed away in December of 99 at the age of 52 from complications of kidney disease. It stinks. Now the gang, we're going to talk about the gang. Freddie Rerun Stubbs was played by Fred Berry, most known for What's Happening, and he only did one season of What's Happening Now. He's done a few cameos here and there in different shows. He played himself, or Rerun rather, in Snoop Doggy Dogg's Doggy Dog World music video. Had a cameo in Dickie Roberts, former childhood star. That was in 2003. He passed away in October of 2003 at the age of 52 from complications of diabetes. I almost forgot, and I can't let this one go unsaid. He played the role of Bootleg Greg in the Insane Clown Posse's movie Big Money Hustlers in 2000. I'm a juggalo. I couldn't leave that out. Next, Dwayne Nelson. He was played by Haywood Nelson, most known for What's Happening. He played Kowalski in the 1981 film Evil Speak. But other than that, he had, not much other stuff to talk about because he leads a relatively private life now. And he also had a cameo in the 2003 film Dickie Roberts, former childhood star. Last but not least, we have Raj Thomas, played by Ernest Thomas. Ernest Thomas got his start on Broadway, had roles in TV shows like The Jeffersons and Brady Bunch. He was also up for the role of Kunta Kinte in the Roots television miniseries, but he lost that to LeVar Burton. But he did get a role in the film. His character's name was Kaluba. I'm hoping I'm not butchering that too much. Most known for What's Happening, but he did have, some other film roles. Piece of Action in 1977 that starred Bill Cosby, and also in 1992's Malcolm X. He's been in more recent TV shows as well. Steve Harvey, Parenthood, Martin. And his biggest or longest run was he did 34 episodes of Everybody Hates Chris. There you go. That is just a little bit about What's Happening Now. A little bit about the cast, what they're up to now, what they've done since then. And it was a good show. Again, it filled that little weird time period on a Saturday afternoon. We're moving right along here in our first run syndication views. I'm not going to tell you what we're going to get into next week, or on the next episode rather. This has been all about What's Happening Now. If you can find it somewhere else, and maybe I'm overlooking it, or if it does become available, I would recommend checking it out and giving it the time. If you're curious and never have seen the original What's Happening, I said it's currently on Tubi, so you can go check it out there. I highly recommend. I don't know if it's all the seasons or not. I highly recommend going back and just watching it and just enjoying the show. I plan on doing that. I haven't gone back yet, but I plan on doing it. And that's What's Happening Now. All right, that is it. Once again, episode 10. This landmark episode for me is in the books. We had a visit with the gang at Rob's place. What's Happening Now? Stay tuned. The next episode, I'm not going to tell you. No spoilers, what we're going to talk about. But we're going to be taking a look at another first-run syndication program. I hope that you enjoyed the show. And of course, let's keep the conversation going. Head on over to Facebook and give a like to the Mind a Smoothie Facebook page. And while you are there, join the Mind a Smoothie and Friends Facebook group. Of course, you can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mind a Smoothie. For video content, visit youtube.com/mindasmoothie. And for all their news, updates, and all that good, fun stuff, visit mindasmoothie.com. Thank you all so much for listening and sticking with me for 10 episodes. Here's to the next 100, hopefully. Thank you for listening, and until the next one, take care, God bless, and stay smooth.